Kim Berry, and it's my pleasure to be with Grammy-nominated and critically acclaimed pianist Orrin Evans, who I have known forever, being a Philadelphia native. And I know you studied with Sir Kenny Barron, if I'm not mistaken, when you were at Rutgers.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
That's correct.
that's right. Your style and approach is very forward-thinking, modern, without being inaccessible. And considering Philly's hard bop heritage, who or what inspired you to go in this direction?
Well, one, growing up in my family, my father was a playwright and involved in the theater, and then my mother was a classical singer. So I was always around the arts in some kind of way. But then when we moved to Philly from New Jersey to Philadelphia, we moved in with my uncle, Ellsworth Gooding, who was a jazz saxophonist, and he played along with Trudy Pitts and Mr. C, and a lot of the organ trios from around town. So, and then being involved at a very young age with the Clef Club when it was early days, it's just I was around the music, so I don't think I had a choice. And I also didn't know, I just knew the music. The beautiful thing about growing up in Philly, I didn't know the difference of hard bop, modern or avant-garde. I didn't really know the difference. It was just, you want to go play with Edgar Bateman, you go play with Edgar Bateman. You want to go play with, Jamaaladeen Tacuma, you play with Jamaaladeen Tacuma. I never had that. I guess I'm glad I didn't. I didn't have that thought process of dividing those people, and that was beautiful thing about growing up in Philly.
Edgar Bateman, I haven't heard that name in a long time. And Jamaaladeen, it's just such an incredible musical heritage in Philly. I mean, you've performed with actually three people that are very near and dear to my heart: Bobby Watson, Ralph Peterson. My God, I can imagine just studying him, playing with him, and then of course Broski, Charles Fambro. Now you've got so many different ensembles. You've got your trio, Tar Baby, and also the Captain Black Big Band, and we've featured several of your recordings here at Kuvo. What was your concept when you developed that band? And how different is it from just the regular big band, so to speak?
I started that band in 2007 because I went to Portugal and I led a big band over there. And big band was not something I was into at all at that time. But part of the grant that I got, I had to go over there and lead a big band. So I went over there with that energy and spirit, like, I don't even like big bands. Like, that's totally how I went over there. And I got over there, and even today, like I said 2007, this is almost 20 years later, I can still see there was a college there, every student's face. And I can remember what they brought to the band and how they inspired me to come back and really get into playing big band. And it was basically because I realized it could act and move like a small group and not be a big group. My thing with big band that always scared me, I always felt there was a potential to lose somebody, meaning lose somebody in the band. There was if they weren't being featured, everyone looked bored, and maybe that was my thing in high school. Looking at the big band, you were waiting for your solo, but no one. I never saw it. But with a small group, everybody was involved all the time because you might miss your cue to come in. So I wanted to bring that same type of energy to a big band where everybody was always tuned in and always there. And once I went out to Portugal and saw that happened, that there were people that wanted to do that, then I realized it was just I was exposed to some of the wrong big bands. So it wasn't big band, it was just the wrong big bands. So basically the inspiration for the big band was from that trip. And then my involvement with the Mingus Big Band. It just really, Mingus Big Band was another group that showed me, we could all be involved and it could work as a finely tuned unit, even in a big band.
How did you get involved with the Mingus Big Band, by the way?
Brotherly love. Jonathan Blake was in the band at the time.
Right.
And he had just left William Patterson, and he, along with Boris Kozlov, Boris, another connection you mentioned, Boris was in the band with me with Bobby Watson. So Boris and I played with Bobby Watson, and then Jonathan from Philly when they needed a piano player at one point, they recommended me for my first gig, which was the Friday after Thanksgiving in 1999.
Wow.
So that's when I first joined and first did my first gig with the big band. And I actually just did one 2 weeks ago. I haven't in a few years, but I'm still, Mingus Big Band is one of those families, once you in, you can't get out. They got to jump you out. So I'm in there.
Can you imagine being in the band with Mingus? My God.
Oh, man.
The stories about him. You would have loved it. And you're
I
a
would have
brave
loved
spirit.
it.
You are a brave spirit. I mean, once I heard a story that he threw somebody's drums off the bandstand, which doesn't make a lot of sense because he seemed like he was really cool with Danny Richmond. I'm like, I don't
Danny
know.
Richmond,
and then, of course, the story about him punching Jimmy Nepper in the mouth. That's just wild, just madness. Now, when did you create Imani Records?
2000, I want to say. Mm-hmm. Basically, my whole career has been based on trying to, figuring out a way to do it when the masses haven't accepted you yet, whether that's labels or booking agents or managers. So we all, whether it was Crisscross early on, which gave me some of my first record dates, but after that, it was hard to try to find a record deal. So my wife got, she hates when I use the word fired. She got laid off from her job at that time. And we took the severance pay and did our first record. That first record, along with Philadelphia performing artists on tour that used to give out grants to do records. So that first record, I called up Branford and I said, "Hey man, I barely got any money, but would you want to do this record?" And he said yes, and Gary Bartz. And oddly enough, and both of them will tell you, all around that time, I inspired Branford to do Marcella's music. That was just starting. And then Gary Bartz with his label, I forgot the name. I have to look back. I forgot the name of his label at that time. But at that time, more and more people were doing records on their own. So that first record is called Seed with Branford, Mike Boone from Philly, Rodney Green, Dwayne Eubanks, Jaleel Shaw.
Wow.
And my wife is singing on it. Yeah.
Wow.
Bottom line is just to keep documenting and get the material out of there and figure out this business because it has changed drastically. It's changed. Printing up CDs don't mean as much anymore, but then you still have that crowd of CD collectors and record collectors that want to buy a physical, but then you don't want 10,000 in your house in the basement. So you're trying to figure
the garage,
out. Yeah, it's just figuring out the industry and not being dismayed and just going head first.
Now, how did you get involved with Lisa Fisher?
By mistake, and it's the best mistake ever.
Absolutely.
I've been a fan for years, but I had no idea. Honestly, I had no idea of her other side. All I was thinking was Ease the Pain and that, and then Rolling Stones and Luther. I didn't really know her as a solo artist per se. Then the documentary came out about the background singers and
50 feet from stardom or something like that. Yeah.
Yeah. And I was like, wow. And then oddly enough, Danny Melnick put on a show. It was a fundraiser for this organization he works with, and he hired me to be in the house band. And it was just an array of singers. It was Lisa Fisher.
Wow.
Corey from Living Color. Was Lettucey on this one? It was a bunch of singers.
Yeah.
And so Lisa Fisher was one of the singers, and I just took my moment and went over and said, "Hey, I've always been a fan of yours." Did the awkward fan thing, and and then I left. Then oddly enough, that next week, we ended up being in Seattle together. She was with her band, and Richie Goods was playing in her band. And I said, "Oh wow, I gotta check this out." But we couldn't go same time. I was like, "This is weird." I went from not seeing Lisa Fisher to now seeing her once and twice, and so then we had a gig with the big band with Diane Reeves.
Oh wow!
And Diane Reeves had same thing that my wife had when you tore something, ligament in your knee.
Oh yeah.
Okay. And then she had to have the operation, and she was off her leg, and she was like, "I don't know whether I'm going to be able to do this the concert." And this was on Monday. The concert was Friday or Saturday, one of those days. And she called. She's like, "Orrin, I can't do it." I said, "No problem. Let me see who I can get. As soon as I hung up the phone, I like challenges like that. I'm like, okay, now who's going? I don't know, because that's when you find somebody. So at that moment, I said, hey, Lisa Fisher, and I called Lisa Fisher to do. She learned all the music in a record amount of days, like 3 days. Came into the rehearsal with such a great energy, knocked everybody out, and that started the relationship of us playing together. And I called her for more things, and then we put together this trio that's been backing her on some of her gigs. She's been playing on mine. She's a beautiful soul, outstanding outside of music and her ability to really draw in an audience and tell a story. All of that's great, but off the bandstand, she's also just a beautiful person.
I mean, that's incredible, really incredible. And to watch you grow from, like you said, a freshman at Rutgers to what you're doing now. I mean, I always check, like, my God, and how did you end up with the Bad Plus?
Well, Reed and actually the bass player from the Bad Plus was living in Philly when you were here.
Really?
He went to Curtis.
Okay.
Yeah, he went to Curtis. So Mr. Hines, my sister was graduating from college. It was 1991. My sister was graduating from college, and my mother threw her a party and asked me to put together a band. And Mr. Hines recommended Reed Anderson. So that's how I met Reed. And Reed and I became close friends. Reed was a groomsman in my wedding.
Oh, wow.
So we stayed connected for years. Oh, and actually Reed was a friend of Douglas and Tim's. So we all met around that same time. And then years later, we played together, then the Bad Plus started and Reed was doing the Bad Plus. But then when it was time, when Ethan wanted to leave, he gave me a call. And I think that was like 2018. It wasn't a call I wasn't expecting that call. I didn't think I never thought Ethan would leave the Bad Plus or that the Bad Plus wouldn't be what it was. But I thought about it for a second, and I'm glad I took on that challenge, and I'm glad I did it for as long as I did.
Now, I remember, speaking of social media, and correct me if I'm wrong, that didn't even stop you. The pandemic did not stop you, because you had a series of concerts on people's, was it your front porch or what? I mean, nothing.
It was mine.
Okay, yeah. Nothing stopped you. What, I know you have to work, of course, and you have to, keep your fingers nimble, your mind nimble, everything. But, what was that born of? Just having it play, or? I thought it was amazing,
Well, two things. Like I started, my parents, we did, nothing stopped my parents. My father ran a community theater in Trenton, New Jersey for years and produced plays in the basement there, and then took that theater and moved it to a bigger location. My mother, besides teaching and touring as a singer, she did so many things for the youth and she always was doing something. So the idea of just sitting still, even if it wasn't always about money, sometimes it was just about getting things done. Sitting still just didn't sit well with me. Then the George Floyd thing happened, and at that time I was living in Mount Airy, and I had never seen my neighborhood like that. I walked outside, and I saw the armed guards on the corner.
Wow!
In Mount Airy. So
that's where I used to live too. Wow!
Yeah. This is right off of and Wadsworth Avenue looked a mess, and I was like, man, we got to play. So I called this bass player up, and we were like, we'll just stay outside. And the first time I did Club Patio, I did it with my phone, and it was horrible. Nobody could hear anything. But I was just like, here's some music for y'all. And then Jason Fifield called me up, a great videographer here in Philly. He's like, look, I can help you. We'll get the sound together. And then we did a few with, McBride came through, and we were able to do an NPR special. And I built it up with bringing out sound, and people like Buster Williams came and did it. Rest in peace, Russell Malone. He did one. Lenny White did one.
Wow.
Jeff Watts did one. We had a lot. Mark Whitfield Sr. and Jr. did one.
Wow.
So it really just became a little series with the help that a lot of people don't know, with the huge help of the Pittsburgh Jazz Festival. And it wasn't a solicited help. Janice Burley from the festival came along and said, "Look, I see what you're doing. Since we didn't do the festival, we have this, this amount of money. Why don't you do this and you stream it, and we'll stream it on our thing too?" So it became a thing where I was not only able to do it and stream on my site, I was able to get the eyes on us through Pittsburgh's site. Also, DC Jazz Festival did some. So it was really just an opportunity that I've always wanted to have a club, so I just had a club right on my patio.
What are you working on currently? What's in the future for you? Not that you have a crystal ball, but I know you're always doing something.
No. I'm just looking for more and more opportunities. I just signed with a new booking agent, so we're working on getting the big band touring more. I mean, that's hard because that's a big band, as I say, but I really would love to do more stuff. We're working on more things with Lisa Fisher and I. We're doing Blue Notes this summer and a couple other things, and really just doing more with the trio also that has Rob Hurst and Jeff Tane Watts, doing a little more of that. And then a Philly trio from that first record that I did back when you were here with Byron Landon and Matt Parrish.
Wow. Yeah.
32 years.
Yeah.
We are trying to get that band back together. So we're touring in March, and we have the record coming out. So the key thing is, despite what's happening out there, just to try to stay present and in front of everybody. I'm doing something with Seattle Jazz Orchestra and looking forward to leading that ensemble in April. So just trying new opportunities and staying present.
Good to see you.
Great.
Good to talk to you.
Same.
And I look forward to seeing you in a couple of months. Or in a month, but yeah.
Thank you. Yeah, in a month is right around the corner.
All right. Thank you, Orrin. Take care.
All right.